I still wouldn't wish it on him, but I would want to do something to him.
Right, but then you're putting your own freedom at risk.
Yeah, you're
as
right.
opposed to letting law enforcement do their job.
You're right.
Because let's just say you go and kill that person, everyone will look at you like a hero, right? Social media will be like, free Lil Tim. Lil Tim's a hero. He's the best.
Lil Durk might have let emotions run wild. Reports claim he offered $1 million reward connected to Quando Rondo, and now the story's exploding online. Durk's reportedly dealing with serious legal trouble, while Rondo's staying cautious, knowing things might not be over just yet. The question on everyone's mind, can he really stay out of harm's way, or is something bigger coming his direction? Everything took a wild turn on January 23rd, 2026, when federal prosecutors dropped a shocking court filing in California that had social media buzzing. The documents revealed huge allegations that instantly became headline news.
But law enforcement is going to still charge you with murder.
Yeah.
Probably,
but it's like,
first-degree murder, because they'll probably prove that you planned it based on what happened to your daughter.
According to the report, Lil Durk allegedly placed a $1 million reward on Quando Rondo back in 2022, a claim that sent fans and blogs into chaos. But Durk wasn't being obvious about it. At least that's what investigators believe. A cooperating witness reportedly said Durk used coded language, suggesting someone would be handsomely rewarded if they took care of what he called the Rondo situation. In street talk, that sounds like a serious opportunity, but also serious trouble. The report also mentions Marcus Muop Wilson, one of Durk's close OTF associates, who allegedly helped spread the word about the supposed offer.
Yeah, but just it being my daughter, I wouldn't even care. Like, I wouldn't have no sympathy behind it, just because it's my daughter.
Prosecutors claim he even told people they could earn that $1 million reward if they made their way to California. These weren't just rumors. Officials say real moves were made afterward. According to court filings, on August 19, 2022, a group of unidentified individuals in a white sedan pulled up to a black Cadillac Escalade at a gas station near the Beverly Center in Los Angeles. They believed Quando Rondo was inside.
Yeah, no, listen, I understand your point. And I just feel that it ends up creating a cycle of men going back into prison because they don't trust the police. They don't think the police are going to handle things right, so they take it upon themselves.
And that moment set off a chain of events that changed everything. Shots rang out. More than a dozen rounds fired straight at the SUV with zero hesitation. The car was hit over and over, but somehow Quando Rondo walked away without a single injury. They completely missed their target. Sadly, his 24-year-old cousin, Cialupa Robinson, lost his life and was pronounced dead at the hospital. Authorities are calling it a murder-for-hire plot gone terribly wrong. Investigators say everything about this hit looked organized, planned, funded, and carried out like a full operation. They claim the team went after the wrong person, but the blueprint behind it shows serious coordination. Federal agents say they traced financial records that revealed credit cards linked to OTF, allegedly used to pay for travel, plane tickets, and rental cars.
And then they end up doing prison time. And, if your daughter had lived, she probably wouldn't want her dad in prison. Like, for example, you look at the Jimmy Henchman situation. I don't know if you're familiar with the whole beef with G-Unit, but at one point, Jimmy Henchman's son gets smacked up by a bunch of G-Unit dudes.
Those funds reportedly helped 5 people from Chicago head to Los Angeles just days before the shooting took place. According to the documents, this wasn't some random group acting on their own. Prosecutors allege it was a fully financed setup from the start. And when everything was over, they claim Lil Durk rewarded the people involved with cash, jewelry, custom grills, and even shout-outs in music videos. All things that the government says count as items of value under federal law. In simple terms, officials are suggesting Durk paid up once the mission was done. A popular hip-hop commentary platform later discussed the case, noting how shocking it was to see an alleged cross-state plot like this in the rap world. It's a far cry from the usual back-and-forth disses we see in music. This one crossed into something much deeper and darker. Durk's situation got even more serious when, on October 24th, 2024, he was reportedly arrested in Florida while trying to board a flight out of the country. He pleaded not guilty to all charges and has been held in federal custody ever since, with no bond, after the judge ruled he was both a flight risk and a potential danger to the community. Lil Durk's lawyer is none other than Drew Finling, famously known as the $1 billion lawyer. When asked what Durk could be facing if things don't go his way, Findling didn't hold back. He kept it real.
He ends up having a role in the murder of the guy that smacked up his son. Now he's doing double life, right? Now, from people from the outside, it's like, oh, he did the right thing. He stood up for his son, but I'm pretty sure his son would want his dad home.
The feds confirmed they're not pursuing the death penalty, but a life sentence in federal prison is still a serious possibility hanging over his head. This case has been dragging on for years because of how massive it is. Prosecutors have stacked up over 30,000 pages of evidence, multiple co-defendants, and a ton of discovery issues that kept delaying the trial. But now, it's officially locked in. April 21st, 2026 is the start date, with a pre-trial conference set for March 30th, 2026. It's shaping up to be one of the biggest courtroom battles the hip-hop world has seen in years. Reports say Durk has spent a lot of time in solitary confinement after allegedly getting caught with an unauthorized phone and breaking a few facility rules. It's been rough, and the questions just keep piling up. The entire prosecution's case leans heavily on one cooperating witness, or in street terms, a snitch. But here's where things get tricky. No one knows who this person really is or how solid their testimony will be once cross-examination starts. The feds say Durk used coded words like "made straight."
But sometimes it just be so fresh where you don't think it all the way through, but it's like 20, 30 years down the line, you just sat in jail for 20 years. You like, yeah, maybe it was a better way to take it or something smarter to do.
But Durk's legal team insists those phrases don't mean what prosecutors are claiming. They're fighting back hard, saying the evidence is based on assumptions and weak connections. His lawyers also argue that investigators are crossing the line by treating rap lyrics like confessions instead of artistic expression. They filed multiple motions, trying to block the lyrics from being used, challenge the credibility of informants, and even get the entire case thrown out, but the judge wasn't having it and the motion got denied. So now the big question remains. Did Durk actually call the shot, or are the feds forcing a storyline that doesn't really fit? To really understand why prosecutors think Lil Durk might have allegedly put a massive price on another rapper's head, you've got to look back at where the smoke actually started, with King Von.
But at the moment, you just be so up with what they did. Your child, you don't even care at the moment, but it be so fresh. I think that's just, you have to give it some time, sometimes just thinking.
Their story runs deep, and it's filled with loyalty, pain, and history that shaped everything we're seeing today. Lil Durk and King Von weren't blood relatives, no family ties at all. But the way they spoke about each other told a whole different story. Durk constantly called Von his twin and baby bro because of how alike they were. They moved the same, thought the same, and even carried themselves with the same energy.
Because when you look at this whole situation, when you look at the Lil Durk NBA YoungBoy beef, the way it's painted in the media, King Von's dead. Lil Durk is facing life in prison. Quando has a Fed case. Slutty gets killed. NBA YoungBoy's in jail as well.
And this wasn't some industry marketing stunt. People close to them say it was real love. Their bond started forming around 2017 or 2018, right after Von came home from prison and decided to focus on music. Durk instantly spotted that raw storytelling ability Von had, that street poetry energy, and took him under his wing as a mentor. He signed Von to OTF, helping him rise fast with breakout hits like Crazy Story and Crazy Story 2.0, plus standout tracks on Von's debut project, Welcome to O Block. That moment changed Von's life completely, but their connection ran much deeper than music. They shared studios, tours, even legal battles. In 2019, both were arrested in Atlanta for an alleged shooting and robbery near a popular restaurant. The case was messy, but by 2022, the charges against Durk were dropped. Still, that whole situation showed how tight they really were.
There are no winners. Nobody won. No one could say that we're the winner here. Everyone took losses on both sides, and the winner is nobody.
They weren't just rapping about the streets, they were living side by side through it all. Von's presence gave Durk a whole new kind of credibility. That raw street respect that can't be bought or faked. Von had the neighborhood behind him, the streets respected his name, and together they brought a balance. Durk's business and fame mixed with Von's energy and fearlessness. No matter how people define their relationship, whether they were equals or one gave the other a boost, one thing's for sure, their bond shaped both of their legacies forever. The bond between Lil Durk and King Von ran so deep that when tragedy struck, the entire world felt it. On November 6, 2020, King Von lost his life during a shootout outside an Atlanta hookah lounge, a clash that reportedly involved people connected to Quando Rondo's circle. That moment changed everything. Prosecutors now claim this was the spark, the event that allegedly set off a chain reaction leading to the million-dollar situation against Rondo. Durk found out about Von's passing in real time while he was on Instagram Live. Fans flooded the comments, and the moment he realized what had happened, he cut the stream instantly, visibly shaken. Not long after, he posted a heartbreaking tribute saying, "My twin gone, I love you, baby bro."
The winner is actually law enforcement. That's the only winner. Law enforcement and the morgue. Those are the only people that really profited.
That post hit fans hard, and it was clear that grief had completely changed him. Just a month later, Durk dropped The Voice in December 2020, an album that served as a direct tribute to Von. He put Von's face on the cover and featured him on tracks like Still Trappin'. Every lyric, every bar carried the pain of losing someone who felt like family. His fans could feel it too. That sorrow turned into the core of his new sound. But prosecutors say Durk's emotions might have gone deeper than just music. They're pointing to some of his lyrics, arguing that certain lines reflect intent or glorify revenge, claims Durk's defense team completely rejects. His lawyers argue those bars were art, not evidence, and that he was expressing pain, not plotting payback. It's a question that still has everyone divided. Would Durk even be in this federal situation if he had never signed Von? If he'd kept some distance instead of standing beside someone whose reputation brought both fame and danger? Prosecutors are pushing the theory that Durk's loyalty and love for Von ran so deep he may have risked his career, freedom, and life itself trying to get back for him. But that's where the story connects to something much bigger: the block, the code, and the culture that raised them both. You can't fully understand Durk and Von's story without understanding O Block, also known as Parkway Gardens, sitting on the 6,400 block of South Martin Luther King Jr. Drive on Chicago's South Side. It's one of the most infamous neighborhoods in the country, a place known for loyalty, hardship, and survival. The name O Block itself honors O.D. Perry, a young member of the Black Disciples who was tragically killed back in 2011. His loss became a symbol representing how pain and remembrance turned into part of the block's identity. For people from there, loyalty isn't just a word, it's everything. That's what prosecutors believe fueled Durk's alleged mindset, claiming that the same code that made him respected also might have pushed him toward risking it all. Now everyone's left wondering, was it loyalty that crossed the line, or is the entire story being twisted into something it's not? Parkway Gardens, known as O Block, was built in the 1950s to give Chicago families affordable homes, but decades of neglect, redlining, and failed policies turned it into one of the city's most infamous hoods. By the 2000s and 10s, it became ground zero for violence between rival groups, the Black Disciples and the Gangster Disciples. Reports say that between 2011 and 2014, the area saw more shootings than any other neighborhood block in Chicago. Growing up there meant survival, not comfort. People relied on each other like family. Loyalty became the real currency. Loyalty to your block, your people, your fallen friends. Betrayal could cost everything. In that world, riding for your crew wasn't optional, it was expected. This environment shaped how many O Block members thought, including Lil Durk and King Von. Federal prosecutors believe that same code, the get-back mentality, carried into Durk's alleged actions years later. They compare it to a pattern of retaliation that's long existed in that area. From O.D. Perry's 2011 murder, which sparked waves of revenge shootings, to the 2020 murder of FBG Duck, which led to several O Block affiliates being charged in a federal RICO case. The cycle of loss and payback kept repeating. That mindset, get back or get labeled soft, runs deep. Even when the pain fades, the code doesn't. Prosecutors argue Durk lived by that same rule after losing Von, while the defense says it's all speculation, twisted into a federal narrative. Now in court, both sides are going to war. Durk's powerhouse attorney, Drew Findling, known for defending major artists, is attacking the government's evidence as circumstantial. The defense says prosecutors are misreading coded language and treating rap lyrics like confessions instead of art. They've tried to throw out lyrics entirely, but the judge denied that motion. Meanwhile, prosecutors claim they've got more than just words. Financial records showing OTF-linked credit cards paying for travel and rentals for 5 people who flew to Los Angeles days before the alleged hit. They say this proves a coordinated effort, backed by money, and they've got a cooperating witness ready to testify about what was allegedly said and promised. But the defense plans to go after that witness's credibility hard. If co-defendants hold their silence, the government's case weakens. But if even one flips, things could shift fast. Federal cases rarely go to trial because of their high conviction rates, around 95%. But when they do, the outcome can surprise everyone. Adding pressure, there's also a wrongful death lawsuit from Xiaolupa Robinson's family, the cousin who died in the 2022 attack. Meaning even if Durk beats the criminal case, civil court could still follow him for years. At the heart of all this lies one haunting question. Did Durk truly cross the line out of loyalty, or is he being painted as the face of a culture he came from but didn't control? The feds say coded phrases like "made straight" were signals, evidence of $1 million deal. The defense says they're twisting slang that means something totally different in context. The jury will have to decide which story makes sense. And behind all the headlines, there's tragedy. Xiaolupa Robinson, just 24, is gone. He wasn't even the intended target. That loss and the world that created it shows why this case hits so hard. It's more than a trial about one man. It's about a culture, a code, and whether anyone can ever really walk away from the smoke. He was just in the wrong car at the wrong time, and that's what makes this whole situation even harder to process. If prosecutors are right and Lil Durk truly ordered the hit, then under federal law, he could still be held responsible for Xiaolupa Robinson's death, even though Robinson wasn't the target. That's how serious a murder-for-hire charge is. It doesn't matter who the bullet hits. But if the government's case is built on circumstantial evidence, misread coded language, or a shaky witness, then Durk could end up facing life in prison for something he didn't actually order. The answers might start coming on April 21st, 2026, when the trial officially begins. The day that'll test whether prosecutors' story can really hold up in front of a jury. But no matter what verdict comes out, not everything will be resolved. A court decision won't bring back King Von or Lil Pab. It won't end the violence that keeps taking lives in neighborhoods like the one Durk came from. And it definitely won't solve the deeper question. How did a kid from Parkway Gardens, someone who used his music to rise out of poverty and become one of the biggest artists in the game, end up here, facing life in federal prison over a situation that started from someone else's conflict at an Atlanta lounge? Maybe the truth is that the streets never really let go. The same code that lifts you up can be the one that pulls you back down. The loyalty that builds an empire can be the same loyalty that breaks it apart. Or maybe, just maybe, Durk is innocent. And all of this is a story twisted too far by prosecutors reaching for headlines. Either way, the jury will decide soon. Until then, the questions hang in the air, heavy, painful, and still without clear answers. That's just the reality of this story. Thanks for watching. If you found this video interesting, make sure to like, subscribe, and share to help the channel grow. And if you want to dive into more wild stories like this, click one of the videos on your screen right now. You won't want to miss it.